We welcome back onto the show. I'm very pleased to have him back. Senator John McCain, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm doing great, and thanks so much for taking time out this morning. I know you're heading down to Marana for the town hall at the Marana Municipal Complex. It takes place this morning at 10 a.m., and a perfect day to have you call in as well. Barack Obama made his pick for the Supreme Court nominee in Federal Appeals Court Judge Sonia Sotomayor. Your initial thoughts on Barack Obama's nominee?
Well, my initial thoughts are that elections have consequences, and this is his selection. We and the United States Senate should exercise our responsibilities of advise and consent, and we'll be looking forward to examining her record and making the appropriate judge decisions. When she was nominated for appellate court some years ago by President Clinton, I voted against her at that time. Now she has a significant record since then, so we'll be examining her record and making the appropriate decision. So we'll have lots of hearings, and there'll be lots of scrutiny of the decisions that she has made.
You may have already kind of answered this question in your initial statement, but I'll ask it anyways. Hypothetically speaking, is this someone that you would have considered if you were in the position to appoint a nominee? Is she somebody that you would have considered?
Most likely not, given some of the decisions that she has rendered or been part of. But that's what happens in elections. I committed to nominating people to the United States Supreme Court and other courts if I had been elected that were what we call strict constitutionalists, those who strictly adhere to the Constitution. The Justice Sotomayor may be qualified, and we will examine that, but I think I probably would not have nominated her.
John Roberts, when he was first nominated in July of 2005 and then renominated to be Chief Justice in September 6 of 2005, there were 73 days given before he received the confirmation vote. Samuel Alito, October 31st of 2005, was afforded 93 days. Do you think that there will be this type of wait, or do you think that that they will push through with this nomination?
I don't know. I'm sure it's a desire of the administration to get it through as quickly as possible. Whether they are able to do that or not will, I think, depend on what happens when we examine her record. I would remind you that then Senator Obama filibustered Justice Alito, and if he'd had 40 other like-minded senators, he would have been able to stop the process of putting Justice Alito on the Supreme Court.
Judge Sonia Sotomayor, during a lecture at the University of California, Berkeley School of Law in 2001, she was quoted as saying, "I would hope that a wise Latina woman with the richness of her experiences would more often than not reach a better conclusion as a judge than a white male who hasn't lived that life." Do you think it's quotes like that that are going to be brought out during the confirmation hearings, and do you think they're going to have a big impact on how that vote goes down?
I don't know. A lot of things are said to audiences. I think most of the examination and determination will be made by the actual decisions and opinions that she has rendered as a member of the court. I think that far outweighs most other considerations, and I think very appropriately so.
She was also spoke about how policy was set in the Court of Appeals. Along the same lines, do you think this will hurt her chances of receiving or being placed in the Supreme Court?
I think that we're going to judge her overall record, and obviously, since it just happened literally in a matter of minutes, we have not had a chance to do that. But I don't expect to agree with every decision that every nominee has made. But I do think it's important to look at their view of the role of the courts and whether it is to right social injustices or to rewrite the Constitution. That's not something, frankly, that I think is the role of the courts. It's to make sure that the Constitution of the United States is adhered to, which has some pretty fundamental statements that you and I believe in about ensuring equal rights for all of our citizens, equal opportunity, etc. But to show bias in one direction or another and use the courts as an instrument for social activism is not a place, I think, that our founding fathers envisioned as the place to do that.
Talking with Senator John McCain, moving over to North Korea, the Korean Central News Agency, as you know, announced they conducted a successful underground nuclear test. Your concerns on this, and what is your opinion as far as what should the U.S. response be in regards to what North Korea has been doing the past few days? I mean, they even launched a few more missiles even as early as today.
Well, I have disagreed with the Bush and now the Obama administration on how you handle North Korea. The North Koreans blatantly violated numerous UN Security Council resolutions, international law. They're a rogue nation. They, for example, were involved in the construction of a nuclear facility of some kind in Syria, and that the Israelis bombed. We basically did nothing about that. We unfroze their assets, which they were gaining through counterfeit and currency and through drugs and other illicit behavior, in hopes that would spur them to be more cooperative. By the way, our ambassador is now the ambassador to Iraq, who I strongly opposed his appointment. But so I don't think that North Korea, that either Bush or the Obama administration understands that this is a rogue state, that they're going to do whatever they think they can get away with, and that China also plays a very important role, since they're one of the only countries, if maybe the only country, that has a significant influence over North Korean behavior. We should enact harsh sanctions against them. We should target the banking activities that they've been involved in. We should make sure that none of their people are allowed to travel. This is a country that literally, over time, can threaten the United States of America. They're testing missiles, and they are testing weapons. You put the two together, and by the way, they haven't yet, then you can have a real threat to the United States of America. And obviously, the past policies towards them have not been successful, to say the least.
So at this point in time, I mean, are you confident?
Sanctions, both unilateral and United Nations Security Council sanctions. Sit down with the Chinese immediately and say, look, this is not acceptable behavior. You control, basically, they control the economy of North Korea. Now, you've got to put pressure on. They've applied some slight pressure from time to time. It's not in China's interest to see a nuclear conflagration in Asia that can spread. And by the way, this will spur the Japanese further into the business of nuclear weapons and defending themselves. They're going to have to take certain actions as well. Look, their missile flew over Japan. Mm-hmm. So this is a very serious situation, and unfortunately, with all the other things going on, we're not paying as much attention to it as we should.
Do you think that this is one more quick question before we let you go this morning? Sure. Do you think that when you look at what's happening with North Korea, you look at the steps that have been taken with Iran? They sent the warships into international waters. You know, Ahmadinejad's been grandstanding. Yep. You're hearing from Netanyahu, the deputy defense minister, is saying Israelis should be prepared for all-out war. How much of this do you place upon the current administration and what they've shown as far as foreign policy has been so far? I mean, do you think they're taking advantage of the Obama administration right now and trying to see how far they can push him?
I don't know if it's exactly that, but there's no doubt that the Iranians are proceeding with their efforts to build nuclear weapons. I think that the president is being tested in a lot of parts of the world. And obviously our adversaries, and they are adversaries, and they stand in opposition to everything that we believe in and value, that this is a testing period, as there is for other new administrations. Now we'll have to see how this issue is handled, and the North Korean one has just jumped right up to one of the highest priorities. And again, Netanyahu has stated publicly, it's not any secret information, that they cannot allow the Iranians to go unimpeded to the acquisition of nuclear weapons, particularly in light of the fact that the Iranians have not only not abandoned their commitment to wipe Israel off the map, unquote, they have reinforced it quite frequently.
Talking with Senator John McCain on your way to the town hall meeting at the Marana Municipal Complex again this morning, open to the public 10 a.m. Anything you're hoping to hear from the people today in the short minute that we have left?
The economy. You and I have been talking about very important issues of the day, but it all comes back to the economy and jobs and the economy of our state, and I'm sure that will be most of the conversation that we will have, because the people of our state are hurting very badly now, as we all know. And we're going to talk about the fact that we are mortgaging our children's futures, and that is of great concern to, I think, a lot of our citizens.
Senator John McCain, as always, thank you so much for taking time this morning. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again real soon, and good luck with your town hall today.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, sir.